In the mountains of the Pacific Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates grind against each other and the Earth still breathes, something has survived that science says should not exist. A flying predator, warm-blooded, fire-capable, weighing over 200 pounds. And tonight, for the first time we observe it in the wild. For decades, biologists dismissed the reports. Locals spoke of a creature that soared above the crater fields at night, of scorched rock formations with no geological explanation, of livestock found not dead but incinerated. It was easier to call it myth. But in 2024, a wildlife research team embedded in an active volcanic zone in the Philippines captured something on thermal imaging that changed the conversation entirely. What they found, and what we are about to show you, is the most complete behavioral portrait ever assembled of Earth's only known fire-breathing megafauna. This is Charizard. And this is its world. To understand Charizard, you must first understand the environment that built it. The creature belongs to a lineage of reptilian megafauna that diverged from known evolutionary paths approximately 60 million years ago, shortly after the mass extinction event that wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. While most large reptiles perished, a small population in the equatorial volcanic belt survived, and over millions of years, isolated, pressured, and shaped by extreme heat, they became something extraordinary. The defining feature of Charizard's anatomy is the flame sac, a vascularized organ located in the upper thoracic cavity just below the larynx. It functions similarly to the electric organ of an electric eel, generating and storing chemical energy until discharge. The flame sac produces a highly concentrated mixture of methane, hydrogen sulfide, and biological catalysts that, when expelled across a specialized keratin ridge in the throat, ignite on contact with atmospheric oxygen. The result is a sustained directional flame reaching temperatures of over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to melt steel. What makes this even more remarkable is the control. Charizard does not simply breathe fire. It modulates the output, varying the temperature, duration, and direction with a precision that suggests genuine cognitive control over the process. It is not a reflex.
It is a choice. And that distinction tells us something profound about how intelligent this animal truly is. Charizard is an obligate volcanic habitat specialist. It requires ambient temperatures above 85 degrees Fahrenheit to maintain core body temperature, a consequence of its reptilian ancestry. Despite having evolved partial endothermy over millions of years, the creature ranges across a territory of approximately 200 square miles, one of the largest home ranges of any living flying predator. At the center of that territory always is the nest site.
Charizard selects nesting locations based on 3 criteria: elevation above 3,000 feet, proximity to an active thermal vent, and a clear 360-degree sightline for threat detection. The nest itself is not built, it is excavated. Using its flame, Charizard melts and reshapes volcanic rock into a shallow bowl formation, then lines it with calcified mineral deposits that retain heat long after the flame has gone. It is, in every functional sense, a creature that builds its home out of fire. A single adult male will defend this territory aggressively against any intrusion, including from other Charizard. Territorial disputes are among the most spectacular and violent encounters in the natural world. 2 adults engaging in aerial combat, flame against flame, wingspan against wingspan, can be heard from over 5 miles away. The winner claims the thermal vent. The loser relocates, sometimes permanently. Charizard is an apex predator. It sits at the absolute top of its food chain, with no natural predators in adulthood. But that status was earned, not given. The creature is a patient, methodical hunter. It will observe prey for up to 40 minutes before committing to an approach. It learns individual movement patterns. It identifies weaknesses. The primary hunting strategy is the stooping dive, borrowed from the same evolutionary pressure that shaped the peregrine falcon, the fastest animal on Earth. From altitude, Charizard folds its wings and drops. At full velocity, it reaches speeds approaching 180 miles per hour. The impact alone is enough to incapacitate most prey. The flame is almost never used during the hunt. It is too conspicuous, too metabolically costly. Flame is reserved for two purposes: defense and communication. And it is the communication that reveals just how complex this animal's social cognition truly is. For most of its evolutionary history, Charizard was assumed to be solitary. The evidence suggested it. Large territory, aggressive defense, no observed group behavior. But what the thermal cameras revealed in that Philippine volcanic zone overturned that assumption entirely. Charizard does not just tolerate its offspring. It teaches them. The juvenile, called a charmeleon in its intermediate developmental stage, spends up to 3 years in proximity to its parent before independence. During that time, the adult does not simply feed it. It demonstrates hunting approaches. It shows flame modulation technique. It exposes the juvenile to territorial boundaries, flying the perimeter with the young animal in tow, as if conducting a guided tour of the world it will one day inherit. This is learned behavior, passed from parent to offspring, accumulated over generations. That is, by scientific definition, culture. We observed this particular pair for 11 days. On the final morning, the adult flew south toward the outer boundary of its territory. The juvenile did not follow this time. It stayed, perched on the same cliff, watching the horizon. It had everything it needed. Every apex predator tells us something about the world that produced it. The great white shark tells us about the pressure of the open ocean. The eagle tells us about the advantage of altitude. The wolf tells us about the power of cooperation. Charizard tells us something different. It tells us that fire, the force that has defined human civilization, that we have wielded for 400,000 years as our greatest tool, is not uniquely ours. That somewhere in the pressure of evolution, another lineage found the same answer. There are an estimated 40 to 60 individuals remaining in the wild. The volcanic habitat they depend on is shrinking, pressured by seismic activity, by human expansion into the highland zones, by the slow cooling of thermal vents that have burned for millennia. They are, in every measurable sense, on the edge. What happens next depends on whether we decide they are worth protecting. A creature that took 60 million years to build, that learned to make fire before we made tools. That is teaching its children right now on a cliff above a volcano how to survive in a world that is slowly running out of room for things like it. 1 in a million. In every sense of the phrase. If you want to know which Pokémon would actually dominate Earth's ecosystems if they were real, the next video covers exactly that. Every type, every habitat, ranked by the science. And before you go tell me in the comments, which Pokémon do you think would be the most dangerous real-world predator? I read every answer.